Welcome to my first episode of Screams from the Center. In this broadcast, I hope to provide information on topics that I find interesting and give my personal take on them. My name is David, and yes, despite my right and left-wing friends, I am what you would call a classic centrist. I have fundamental issues with both liberals and conservatives, Democrats, Republicans, on both sides, and I'm not here to take sides. I'm here to give you the facts that I see as I see them, and my opinions. I'll defend what is right and fair. If that seems to favor one side or the other, then I'm sorry. Maybe you should check and reflect your own values and positions. And with that done, on to my first topic. Why we should totally pardon former President George W. Bush. Recently, Anthony Romero, who's head of the ACLU, has come out in favor of the idea that President Bush should be pardoned by President Obama. All of those involved with the torture and other human beings under his watch, as outlined in the Senate Intelligence Committee report. One would ask why anyone, other than Republican Party members and their followers, would even think of this idea. Why they would call and try to appeal to President Obama to pardon former President Bush. Well, the truth is people on the right are not asking for this. And in fact, would be very happy if we just swept it under the rug and forgot about it, as exampled by Fox so-called news host Andrea Tantaros. Andrea thinks that everything is awesome and everything's cool when you're part of a team. So who cares? We did some things. We didn't do some things. We're not even sure what we did. Now we don't, so problem solved, right? And people on the left want nothing less than prosecution, conviction, and imprisonment of life for the former president and his cohorts. So, I've listened to these points for about a few days to a week, come to the conclusion that both sides are stupid. Both sides are following strict political lines, and someone stepped in with an idea that can answer that issue. So, what is this answer? Well, it's pretty simple. The ACLU and other human rights groups have been calling for the investigation and prosecution of the Bush administration for over 10 years now. So where do we stand on this today? Well, nowhere. The President of the United States, Barack Obama, has not directed his Attorney General to do any investigation. Nancy Pelosi and Harry Reid, the House Minority Leader and the Senate Majority Leader currently, both took impeachment and investigation off the table. So, it seems clear that no prosecutions are going to occur within a reasonable period of time. Anthony Romero seems to be all too aware of this, being head of the ACLU and doing this. So his solution is that the U.S. President can act alone within constitutional guidelines and issue a pardon. So the reason these pardons would have meaning is actually pretty simple. The best way to say these people committed crimes, and as it stands now, the only people who believe he committed a crime are those who are considered politically biased and not taken seriously in the corporate media. So, what is a pardon? A pardon is forgiveness for crimes. It's an acknowledgement of those crimes. By issuing a pardon, the president is saying that these people did commit a crime, even though they weren't necessarily prosecuted for one. So, you won't get a prosecution. Face it, liberals, it's not going to happen. You're being idiots if you keep insisting. I've listened to radio programs with liberals calling in on this topic, and the questions that they ask are, well, we should prosecute Bush. Why haven't we prosecuted Bush? Well, because it's not politically motivated for either party to do so. Yet they keep pressing the issue, like if they say we need to prosecute George Bush enough, it'll magically happen. It's not going to happen. If you do want, actually, I will take that back. Prosecution of George Bush will happen if you elect about 400 or so progressive liberals to the U.S. Constitution to get yourselves supermajorities in the House and the Senate. And you need a progressive president. Much to the chagrin of the right-wing Republicans, President Obama is hardly a liberal or progressive president. He is a center-right president. He's in fact left of Eisenhower, but I could digress on that topic. So, short of this kind of electoral maelstrom, you're not going to ever see Bush prosecuted and possibly punished for his crimes. Never. It's not going to happen. The Republican Party is going to do everything that they can to block or impede this process. So, you're not going to get a prosecution, no matter how hard you try. Period. The right wing can benefit from a pardon. The side effect of it is Bush won't get prosecuted by future administrations if such an administration actually does want to pursue prosecutions. So this makes them immune to it. We've already acknowledged the crime, and we've forgiven it. I know the right just wants to ignore this whole issue, and pardoning will actually put light on this subject, which is not what you want. I realize this. But it is better than being uncertain, and if a left-wing administration does get in, it could happen. That's just the plain and simple truth. What I find interesting is how morally disgusting that the Republicans are for not even wanting an investigation. We can investigate the murder of 4 people in Benghazi 10, 15, 20 times, however many times it takes for the Republicans to get the blood that they're looking for. But this needs to get swept under the rug. Something that cost thousands of lives in America and hundreds of thousands of lives overseas. It's morally reprehensible. In fact, the Republican Party has gone out of its way to victimize and criminalize Senator Feinstein for even wanting to talk about this report. And that's what makes this very interesting. That they have the moral outrage to go, oh, well, we can't talk about torture. Let's punish the person who wants to talk about it, rather than figuring out who did it, why, and punishing them. So, in conclusion, a pardon will send a message in history that President Bush and those involved in this torture scandal have been recognized. They've been branded and labeled criminals, even though we're not going to do anything about it. President Bush will go down in history as a pardoned criminal, not just a criminal to the left. And that is why pardoning President George Bush is a great idea. Well, that's it for my first episode. I'm hoping that you got a bit of information and enjoyed what I put out. Please subscribe to me. I will get more out as fast as I can. I appreciate you joining in. I know this is a long process. It will take time. I will be refining all of my features as I go to improve and get a better quality product out. I enjoy the idea of talking about the news, and this is my way of finally doing something. You can check out my blog, Screams from the Center on WordPress, and I'll have the link below to take you there. Hopefully, I'll have diverse subjects between the two. But if you enjoy this, hopefully we can expand on it, and I can get your ideas, and we can do more together. Thank you very much, and good evening.